Hey everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I am Peter, that is Connor, and we are going to talk about The Expanse, Season 3, Episode 6. It's called Immolation. So, full spoilers for the episode as always. This is the episode they hit us with after we find out it might be done. This one.
Yeah.
This what might be the best episode of the show so far.
Yeah. Bastards.
This was fantastic from start to finish. I hate you so much, SyFy. I hate you so much. We better save this. Someone, Amazon, you pricks.
Did you see they've been getting really creative with
I saw the plane
the campaign? Yeah, the plane.
The plane message. Yeah, that was pretty good because the actress who plays drummer took a photo with it. You can barely see it in the photo. You can sort of, like, if you squint, you can kind of see the plane. Like it's really far away, but like still, all the same. It's good stuff. So obviously, I wanted to continue in this episode.
I don't care who it is. They can have my money. Just keep it coming.
Yes. Oh god. Also, just to add on, like this happened last year, where an episode in the middle. Last year was episode 5. This year it's episode 6, where it oddly felt like a season finale in the middle of the season.
Yeah.
And I don't know if this was the end of the second book, because that explained it last year. Because last year the one that felt like a finale was like, okay, that's the end of the first book, so that's why it feels that way.
Right. The ending of this episode feels like that could be the end of a book.
It does kind of, yeah. No, there's definitely... Now, people who've read the books might tell us we're nuts, this is not. But given that it kind of, at least as far as we can tell, puts an end to the war, and that the book was called Caliban's War, I'm feeling fully confident. And then the tease at the end with this new proto-ship that comes out of Venus, that feels like a hey, next book.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does feel like that. In our case, it's hey, next week.
Yeah, that is sequel bait at its finest.
Yeah, but I loved how we got like a different version of the main theme, like just the vocals of it.
Yeah.
As it was coming out of Venus, and then got the credits. And also, first of all, they left Amos with the kids. Secondly, when he dropped the F-bomb in front of them, I was like, just he looks so what the F is that?
It took me a moment because when he said that, and I assumed there was someone off camera, and then it cuts around, and I'm like, no, it's just the kids. I'm like, okay, Amos.
Yeah.
You do your parenting thing.
Speaking of Amos, here's something I love about this. So this episode largely revolves around them, because obviously, like we left last episode, the big thing in the ships happened, the mutiny and all that. But we'd left with them almost just getting into the base on Io. And here we are. So this is what we're mostly focused on. There's obviously some stuff with the Agatha King as well, but it's all just this condensed. And I remember saying this a lot in season 1 and season 2. But I'd kind of forgotten about it in the year since, because obviously we watched 1 right before 2, so this was the first time we actually had the big gap. It's just how good this show is. It kind of naturally built into things, and because there was a few episodes like 3, 4, even 2 to an extent, they were kind of quieter episodes, and I think I'd forgotten how good this show was of like, no, we're going to force action stuff into every episode. We'll build it, and then when we naturally get there, you'll get your action episode, or episodes in this case.
I remember there being a trend of it being every 3 or 4.
Yeah.
Like, typically.
But it always feels like it's really worth the payoff, and it always has a bit more weight to it because they've spent time building up to it. And everything in this had weight behind it. Every interaction between characters, every payoff to everything we've been building towards. So here's what I love. I love a lot of things. I love everything about this episode. I'm going to gush all over it. I'm just going to warn you right now. But the thing that stuck out to me that I loved the most, because it's the thing that I wouldn't say surprised me in terms of this show, but it surprised me in the sense of how I expect it to normally go in a TV show. Is Strickland tries to weasel out. He shoots the other doctor and then tries to pretend that he was the one defending the kids. He tries to like convince them that he. And I was getting some like Dr. Smith vibes from Lost in Space a little bit with this.
Yeah. He puts up a good effort.
He does. And in most shows that would work. And there'd be a bit of time with him with the crew, and we would know he's up to no good, but the crew wouldn't quite know yet.
Yeah.
And it'd be that sort of tension of like when they're going to find out. And it's fine. That's a fine path to go down if you want to do
wrong with that.
But I kind of love that he tried, and they just weren't buying it.
They just call him on his shit.
Yeah, and obviously Prax is about to he's like, hey Amos, like, hey, me, go with Amos, like, he's my best friend in the world. And obviously Amos's face when he said that, I was like, you could have just said friend, but he's like, best friend in the world, what?
Yeah,
We have bonded, haven't we, Prax? So go with him, and I'm like, oh man, he's going to just shoot him. He's like, because even though he's trying to bullshit his way, he still took his daughter here. Like, it doesn't matter what he's been doing
And
since.
even in this, up till this scene, it's like, okay, did they already go through with it or not?
I was waiting. See at the end when he's hugging her in the bed and she's getting her backpack back. I was waiting for the little bit of blue.
I was too.
I was
the
waiting
whole
for it.
episode, I'm on edge. I'm like, I don't know if they got there in time because they really hold it back, don't they?
But you know what I love about it is I love that if there isn't now and this is us, like they've saved her and she's fine. That actually feels like a swerve almost. That they saved her. Like, I'm so used to things going wrong that no, this was a win. We got something in the win column.
I think it's passable because okay, the promo article has all the other stuff going on now with this episode. You can kind of get away with, okay, we don't need this one route anymore. You can have that one win because everything else is screwed. Exactly.
So this gives us at least as far as we can tell right now, a happy enough ending.
Yes.
So I am happy with that. But no, I love that Prax is just going to shoot him anyway. And you knew Amos, because Amos, like, he comes in and he lowers the gun. He's like, "Hey Doc, you're not that guy," and I'm like, he's going to say, "But I am." He's going to say, "But I am." As soon as he walks out, and he shuts the door, so you know he's going to do it. And he just sort of slowly turns, and Strickland's like, "Oh, thank you." And then he just, as Amos is, he's like, "Oh no, wait, oh no," and he's like, "I am that guy." And he just brings up his rifle and blows him away. It's so good. It's so good, because the whole time I was like, shoot him, kill him, do it, because we know that he's been vicious, we know that he's not been protecting the kids, we know that he's the one who's been pushing for them. I mean, we saw it in this episode alone, he's like, oh, sacrifice half the crew to, like, so we can get away. Like, that's his attitude in this episode. He's a weasel. That was satisfying as shit.
It was, yeah, absolutely. It's been a long time coming.
But where to go next? So obviously Prax gets his daughter back. That's a touching moment because I noticed that they were hiding her because I could see her like behind the group, but the camera was very intentionally not making it kind of like she wasn't the attention.
And
of the scene.
You get a little anxious, don't you?
Yeah.
Like, is she still okay?
Yeah, and then she like just sort of peeks out behind the other kid, and it's like, oh no, we're actually doing it. We're having the reunion, and no, everything with that was so satisfying. Speaking of satisfying, can we talk about Draper? Can we talk about?
Let's talk about Draper.
Everything. Oh, there's a hybrid up ahead. Right, you guys go get the kids and stuff. I'll hold this off. And of course, even if Vassarala is like, hey, this won't bring back your other Marines, and she's like, for the once in your life, shut the F up. And she's like, no, I'm fighting this hybrid. She uses her thrusters to like get up the ladder quickly. And see when they get outside, and it's like running across all the sort of the industrial. Like,
yeah, I love that shot of her jumping across with using the thruster to get across a bit, and then
she lands in the knee.
Goes. Yeah.
It's when she comes across and she lands in the knee like a superhero. It's the Superman landing of going down in the knee, or even Iron Man maybe is a bit more accurate. But all of that was great. It was so fun. I loved it when she's down and out after getting attacked. When it jumps from behind and we come back to her. We've been away from her for so long that when it cut back to her line there with the proto-hybrid, I was like, oh yeah, Draper. I forgot about this. Like, I was so caught up in everything else.
You forgot about all that huge gun chasing thing.
Yeah. And just the satisfaction is like, she's like, just come on, do it. She's basically doing the Arnold thing from Predator. I'm right here, do it, kidding me, I'm right here. She's basically doing that. Not because she's got a plan that she's going to enact just because she thinks it's over. But she gets her hand up just to like blast him, and I love that she just fires like 20 rounds in the back of his head, and you just see the back of his head is just gone.
It is. It looks fantastic.
Which of course happens because he's distracted actually, which is worth mentioning. He kind of looks up. It's worth because this is the kid. The kid just looks like the hybrid now from last season. He looks like that.
Yeah, I think it's pretty dark when you look at it in the sense that. Yeah, okay, Bobby just killed a kid.
Yeah, she just blew a kid's head off. Yeah. We see her, at the end when they get her back in the ship, and she is bruised to shit in the med bay. So
I did see some people tweeting at the author going, hey, they're not really going to address that she killed a kid. Because it doesn't really delve into it.
I don't think it has to, because it's not a kid anymore.
No, that was the thing. His response was, hey, it's a war. Everyone in a war is someone's kid. You don't look at it like that way in wartime. That's like from a soldier's perspective.
I don't even think you have to go down that path. At this point, it's a monster who's going to rip her head off. I don't think.
No, I don't think it's justified.
Yeah, I don't think you have to have the debate. This was technically a kid.
There's no saving this kid, right? It's like, okay.
Kids are dead. This is like the hit television show Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Once they become a vampire, they're already dead. The vampire's fair game. Kill them.
Except in certain exceptions.
Okay, some 2 very specific exceptions.
Yeah. Just just want to put that out there.
Where souls may have been reinstated, but outside of those very specific exceptions, they're fair game to kill.
Just stab them
with a wooden stake in the heart.
Exactly.
Or decapitation, or burn them, or get them in sunlight. Or holy
I would
water.
love to see them try all those methods on a hybrid.
It was pretty
bound to work.
Yeah, no, that's true. But hey, so no, the Draper stuff was fun. That was just like there was a lot of solid action in this episode, but that was the highlight, I think, of the action.
Oh, absolutely. Just right from the start, her charging down the hallway with the guns.
Yeah, it has that great mix of like the sound effect of the suit sounds great for a start, but it also has that you almost feel like you're in Doom. Like it's got a very Doom like sort of her helmet.
Yeah.
And then you get the POV shot, and she has the reverse camera, so you can see it chasing behind her. Like all that stuff, and then she was being very tactical about how she was like using the ladder and getting outside. I mean, it was all a bit futile, but she still won in the end.
yeah, she did her best, and it paid off.
So no, all that stuff was riveting.
Just to put into perspective, before it took an entire ship to blast one of these things, takes her on her own.
I mean, barely, but yeah, she did it.
She did it. It counts.
It counts. No, you're right.
She can add that to the tally.
You're right. So no, I love it, and they've got Mao. Holden grabs him. They've got him trapped. We have the big scene where Alex tries to shoot down all the pods that are leaving the station. He does not get all of them though. He runs out of ammo before he gets some of them, and the Agatha King gets infected. And I love actually because they're explaining to Vassarala like anyone on that ship, I wouldn't want to be on there. Like they're screwed. And it cuts to Cotillard. I thought that was a really neat cut. It was like okay because we hadn't seen him in this episode yet. So it was a hard cut from that sentence. It was a really nice link thematically.
It was a really strong link because it's that one person that she cares about more than anyone on there.
Yeah, and then of course we have the random soldier who's on there, and she gets infected and lets him out, and we don't actually see much of him, but he eventually is like, okay, the only way to solve this is with a nuke. So I'm rigging the engines and stuff to go nuclear. That's happening. Of course, at this point, Naomi and Alex are on the ship because Vassarala deduces that they're sending these to Mars to ruin Mars because this is technically coming from like Ehrenreich. I mean, not directly, but
for all intents and purposes, this is in Earth's interests.
Yeah, this is the seedier part of Earth. This is all them, and it's going towards Mars. And Alice says, "Oh no, we have to stop it." And everyone agrees. Like Naomi's like, "Oh, you can't go alone." Like Vassarala, man the ship. That was a bad idea, Naomi. But but still, she doesn't.
Times.
She doesn't blow it up, so I'll give her credit. So we're okay.
Yeah. Points where it's due.
But they go over and like she disables like one of them. She's like, "Yeah, I'll have to do each of these one by one, and that'll take a long time." And then it's like, "Oh no, 10 minutes till nuclear detonation." All right, we have to go. Yeah, but they actually, because I was thinking, this is setting up the plot for next episode. Next episode, they're going to chase down the pods and try and shoot them down and stuff. But no, it becomes this thing where it ties up the whole idea that she went to the Belt and Fred Johnson behind their backs, where she says, "Look, here's an idea. The missiles that like Fred Johnson took from before, he can use them to shoot them down if we give them because she turns on all the transponders so that they can find them." And it's like, but I won't just do this alone. Like, I've learned my lesson. Like, everyone has to agree to it. Like, everyone who's in.
And they acknowledge the risk that he could just, instead of shooting them down, just capture them and keep it for himself.
But from what we see, it doesn't seem that's the case. It seems like he does go through with it and shoots them down.
He's a sensible man.
Well, because Naomi even presents it to him as, hey, you can get us on a higher stage with Earth and Mars, because you'll be seen as important after this. Plus, you're also saving lives. You're also doing something good. And I think Fred, because Fred's not, Jared Harris. I always forget his name. But Jared Harris, he's not him. Like he's more like the political seamer. Fred Johnson feels like he does have more of a moral behind him.
He does, because we went over his whole, his whole backstory.
Yeah, the
before.
butcher. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was a case of just what he had to do, at least from his perspective. But he never got any pleasure in that. He doesn't want to take lives. That's not his goal. He's not being vindictive about it.
And it's funny because it parallels really nicely with Gillis because he's felt like a puppet for a while, right? In terms of he's not the one with the beliefs, the people around him are, and then he kind of is convinced to whatever way he's pulled in.
Yeah, the whims of the day.
And Anna comes in, shows him the footage of Aaron Wright. They confront Aaron Wright. I loved that when Aaron Wright comes in and he's like confronted by Gillis, and then you just hear Anna's voice, and it's revealed that she's sitting over on the couch way back. We didn't see her at first. I like that. He's been ambushed almost, and they're basically like, "Hey, right, this is treason." And Aaron Wright, for all his faults, and he is at fault here, he does step in and say, "You only care about yourself. You cared about protecting you. I cared about protecting Earth." And obviously, his methods, his means are wildly, wrong,
inappropriate,
in so many ways.
But I believe that he believes he's doing the right thing.
And it's funny because when he said that, I'm like, oh, maybe this will be like a little prod for Gillis to maybe like assert himself and say, no, wait, I do have a stance. I'm going to prove myself. But then comes the conversation with Anna afterwards, which just is so demoralizing because it's like, okay, we won the fight we should have won here, but I'm still concerned about him now because he basically says to Anna, oh, like my legacy was going to be that I'd started this bloody war and I'd killed thousands of people. But now that's all on Aaron Wright. Thank you. And that's all he's happy about. He's happy that he's passed the buck, and now he won't be blamed for any of this. And the looking at his face is soul destroying. And I'm like, man,
that's the best guy. He's not happy that we could, we could have avoided this. That okay, problem solved. It's just like not my fault anymore. That's cool. Whatever.
That's his whole thing, and it's like, damn. So that was good. Like I feel like this episode, every plot thread paid off in some way in this episode. Finding May after all this time, Strickland getting shot, great.
Yeah, Katya being on the ship.
Katya being on the ship, he has his big exit, his big grand heroic exit. And it's way emotional when he's like, because he doesn't even know if Vassarel is watching him. He's got the comms on to warn all the ships around him.
Yeah, and she's trying to let me talk to him. I can get him to stand down.
Yeah.
But he's turned off the comms at his end to have that communication.
And it's just like all this stuff, and then of course Naomi's great payoff to hey crew, we all have to be in this decision. Like all of it pays off. It was such a strong episode in paying everything off, and I really feel like no plot thread was left. Like obviously we have the Venus ship, but Aaron Wright's in prison.
That's the epilogue.
Yeah, rather. Aaron Wright's been in custody for what he's done. Yeah. They've got Mao on the ship. In fact, I loved it. Holden comes in and just sits him down in front of a Vassarala. Right, here's your punishment. You have to listen to a Vassarala for the rest of your life. Here you go.
That is cruel. I like Vassarala, but that is cruel.
She's just going to sit there and belittle him forever. You're a puny little man, you know that?
That might be inhumane.
You cretin. That's what I want next episode to be, just an hour of them in a room and a Vassarala just tell him how awful he is and just making fun of him.
That sounds amazing to watch.
Cathartic episode, I think, coming up.
I know, I agree. But you're right, on all those plot threads, Strickland's been dealt with. Everything has got its due here.
And more to the point, not only are they all wrapped up and dealt with, they were all wrapped up satisfyingly.
They were. I think this is why it feels like this is the end of the second book, right?
It does,
because
yeah.
Everything had a neat thing, and then it's like, okay, here's an epilogue setting up some seeds. We had the ship, we have the scene with Naomi and Holden, and it's just like, okay, we got somewhere to go.
I also liked that it reminded us of the Venus stuff subtly, because at one point in the hybrid's eye, you could see it.
Yeah.
As it was pulling out, and that was a really nice little touch. It was like, hey, it reminds you that they're all connected, and that this hybrid's also communicating with the rest of the protomolecule, but also reminds you, hey, this is going on in Venus. This is relevant for later. So. Again, neat little way of tracking that. Obviously, just the action, to go back to the filmmaking with all that stuff, was really great. This is easily maybe the quickest an episode of this show has ever went in.
Yeah. The only ones that maybe come close are the chase sequence ones. The ship chases, because they go in pretty quick as well.
Because right from the start, it was giving me those sort of. Your Alien/Mass Effect vibes of you're at this outpost on an otherwise desolate planet and you're searching for it, and they're there in the aftermath of something. It's all the sort of things I love.
It's something this show has done once per season, maybe twice here or there. It's not a common occurrence that we get this tone.
Yeah, but it'll dip into like classic sci-fi genre tropes
I'm
here or
thinking
there.
like the end of season 1.
Yes.
Like that was the first time we really did it, I think.
Yeah, those last 2 episodes, but they're all in that on Eros, and it's like a horror movie almost. Yeah, no, and this wasn't so much like a horror movie. I mean, the hybrid arguably was a little bit, but this was more like if the end of season 1 was Alien, this was Aliens. This was like just Draper on her own. Like this time it's more bitches. I'm coming for you.
Pretty much.
Yeah, Draper's basically every colonial marine from Aliens rolled into one. That's basically what she is, and I'm okay with that.
Pretty much. Yeah.
All I need is making the APON speeches, assholes and elbows, all that.
Give it time.
I'm all for it. So no, this was a blast of an episode, and of course we should speculate as to the ship, we'll call it, coming off of Venus at the end.
Yeah, it seems very ship-like, doesn't it?
It does, and
it reminds me, the ones that they parked up in orbit, where they were sending the probes down from.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of looks more like those, if I'm remembering them right.
It looks like that, but like heavily added to and modified and
right. But I mean, as a core concept, because obviously it's based off something. I think it's based off those versions.
Yeah, because it's funny because I think the comments, commenters who have read the books and stuff, have been saying that we're pretty close to the show kind of being blown open a little bit. Like there's a new door is going to open that's going to really widen the scope of things, and I can't help but, and I kind of always assumed it would do this eventually, but whatever this is in some way is either going to lead to either another race or just direct contact from where the proto-molecule came from. Even if it's not going to go straight to that, but that's where it's going, or that's where its goal is.
That makes sense. This is now a new party to contend with.
I mean, I think we spoke about this before at some point, but the fact that it's called the Expanse, the idea that we're at this weird stepping stone in like history where they're about to like stumble into an intergalactic
something bigger. No, you're right. And it's something that's like, does this unite the solar system? Essentially. Eventually.
Maybe not. Maybe they'll just all be at each other's throats while they're dealing with this.
I'm just thinking, in terms of most sci-fi, the idea is once we get into galactic, Earth kind of unites, right? It's just just Earth. There's not all these other countries. I mean, they still exist, but there's one unified front.
Yeah.
The same thing could happen here. It's like, okay, there's something bigger. Do we go, well, we're all human, and link up?
Oh, very possibly. That's a classic thing. I mean, it's the end of Watchmen's based off of that. There's just the idea of the other. Once you have a third group, ultimately the two original groups will start to feel that they've got some camaraderie because they existed together before.
It's just tribalism at a massive level. It's the idea of two cities that are rivals, but then as soon as you go, but they're in the same state, and then it's like, but they'll have a rivalry against the next state over, but they'll side together on that, and then extrapolate out to country and etc.
No, absolutely. So. I can see it going that way. Maybe that'll be part of the fun, is seeing how the Bell, Earth, and Mars kind of collaborate on dealing with something else like this. That's it. I don't see us jumping straight to it next episode.
Not immediately. But yeah. I think with Avasarala being in the situation she is, that we've kind of opened the door for diplomacy a bit more.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. It definitely feels like we're going to be in a new place with it. And it does make me wonder if like Avasarala and Draper are going to be leaving the ship and going back to like doing whatever they were doing, or maybe Draper will stay, maybe Avasarala, but no, hey, I want this team to be like the team who goes out and like does things for me. So Draper, you stay with them.
It's kind of their own personal, like Black Ops team.
Kinda, it's kind of like Cotillard, but like now it's a whole ship full of people.
Yeah. I mean, and speaking of leaving the ship, Naomi's saying that she might be done.
That's true. Yeah, they have a very, very naked scene together. Yeah. I was like, man, that's like, get up, put a sheet over them. No, just.
Apparently, it's not cold on the ship.
Just ass in my face. I'm not really complaining. I'm just it stuck out to me, is what I'm saying.
It's just like, oh, that's there.
Yeah. So yeah, no, she's like, yeah, it's time. So I mean, at the very least, it feels like a status quo shift is going to be happening, where she might be with the Belt, she might be with Fred and Drummer and whatever they're up to. Maybe Draper essentially replaces her in the ship.
Yeah, I can see it.
I don't know if Prax is going to stick around, because you'd imagine Prax would want to go with his daughter and take those kids somewhere.
Yeah.
And again, maybe May will be this show's Wesley Crusher. Maybe we'll keep the kid around. Like, who knows?
Maybe. I'm thinking, okay, if Naomi does leave to join the Belt, who do we have on the ship for belt representation? Because right now we've got Earth with Holden and Amos. We've got Mars with Alex specifically, but Bobby as well. So
maybe we get a new person. Maybe someone like, I don't know. If Naomi goes and works with Fred, does Drummer then volunteer or be asked to?
I'd be intrigued to see as to how they justify bringing on someone new, because like I say, I think the balance of the ship is quite important. That they're all represented. It gives them a even stake in the things. But
yeah,
I think who they would replace it with, and it feel natural.
Yeah. Well, it's funny though, because the two guys from Earth, Amos especially, doesn't really have very fond things to say about Earth. He's got a very neutral. Amos is almost the neutral person in a lot of ways.
He is kind of, yeah.
Which is kind of funny to me. But no, it's a good point. But I'm curious to see it. It does feel like a shake-up of some kind. It does feel like we're going to be shifting the status quo a little bit. And I don't think we're going to lose any characters in the sense that we won't see them. I think they'll have their own plots. Like, kind of like how we usually have a Visceral on Earth, and we'd have Miller on the stations.
There's no reason for them to be gone for the show, unless the plot goes somewhere else that we're not seeing. And they've got a reason to be done. But right now, leaving the ship does not mean leaving the show.
Because I think what's interesting to me is that when we started the show, we kind of formed who was a group, and then we had Miller and we had a Visceral on the different places. But now I feel like what would make the rest of this season and perhaps future stories interesting would be that, okay, now if we do have Naomi in the belt, right, on Tycho or wherever, like, it'd be interesting that, okay, now we have someone separate there, but someone who is already connected to all of our other characters, so it's someone who would actually call them if something goes wrong. Yeah. We'd care about them differently. No, we cared about Miller, of course, but he would never pick up the comm link and call Holden for something. But Naomi might. Like, Naomi would be like, oh, my team's out there, my Rassi team's out there, I can call them.
And in the same stroke, once a Visceral is back on Earth, she can do the same. Like, it's like, exactly, okay, I need some trustworthy assistance, outside the system.
Exactly, yeah. I feel like we'll have a much more connected thread between all the different plots, even if they are going to be separate for long stretches of time.
Definitely.
So, no, that's very interesting. And we care about all the characters, and of course, so... no, it's really, really interesting stuff. And I can see Anna and Avasarala being good buddies and teaming up and try to deal with Gillis's shit.
Yeah, basically it'll just be them running the government, just... not publicly.
Very, very possibly. We'll see where that goes. But no, so fantastic episode. I have really nothing. I mean, a couple of the outside shots in the station when Draper was fighting the Protomocule, sure, a little bit green screeny, sure. If you want to get nitpicky,
yeah.
But like that's about it. That is the extent of my negative complaints.
Overall, though,
as opposed to the positive complaints, which don't exist.
Yeah, it mostly looked pretty great. One or two shots in particular where you're like, but nothing that bad.
No, fantastic. So let me just reiterate what I said at the start. Someone pick this up, keep this going. I've been seeing articles all over the place. /Film put an article just today or yesterday saying, oh, like the Expanse is too good to let go, and there was a big piece on it.
Look, here's the ideal situation right now. Is the reason it's taking so long to hear anything is that there's a bidding war going on between Amazon and Netflix.
That would be the hope. Or anyone else, like whoever wants to bid for it.
They're just the two front runners at the moment, based on who has rights in various places.
It is worth mentioning, I believe, the petition, which everyone should go check out. I mean, I'm not usually one to promote petitions, but I feel like when it comes to a TV show being saved, it is the sort of thing where they can look at it and go, oh, hey, there's X thousand people who care about it.
It's funny. 5 years ago, I'd have said don't bother, but then last year we had the outcry for Timeless. And that
last week we had Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
I was getting to that one. I was getting last year, but last year Timeless was an anomaly, right? Yeah. It was like, oh, that's weird.
But the point I was going to make though is that I believe it exceeded the number that Brooklyn Nine-Nine had.
Okay.
And obviously I like Brooklyn Nine-Nine. In fact, I just started rewatching Brooklyn Nine-Nine from the start, with hopes of watching all the way through to where it is now at least, if not
Yeah.
season 6, depending on how quickly I go. Given it's a sitcom, I'll probably be done before season 6 is.
That, and that's not hitting in fall. That'll be a bit later. So.
Oh, there you go. So, but the passion's definitely there, and obviously I've tweeted at Amazon a couple of times already.
Yeah.
Just basically, I want them to think it's worth the money just to shut me up. That's the hope.
No, it's true. I will say it is nice to know that they've said that even if this doesn't get picked up anywhere else, this season does end on a reasonable place to end it. Like, it feels like not a satisfying conclusion overall, but it's not a huge big cliffhanger thing that's like, hey, come back next time.
Yes, but I'd rather live in hope that we continue in some
I would
capacity.
too, but there's just something in the back of my mind where I go, well, at least there's something.
It's too good. It's just too damn good. We can't let it go. So yeah, tweet at Amazon, tweet at Netflix, do all your tweets, sign a petition. Obviously, go out and buy Blu-rays, buy it on iTunes, do everything, all of it. Do all of it.
Stream it if it's streaming wherever you are.
Yeah, just stream it, buy it, watch it multiple times. Here's an interesting thing actually. I didn't know. Is that if you watch it and then you DVR it as well and watch it again in the first 3 days, it counts for both the live and the +3. It counts twice. Yeah. I discovered that this week. That's it. I'm pretty sure that only counts though if you've got a Nielsen box, so I'm not even sure if that's applicable to everyone. If you've got a Nielsen box, watch it, you bastards.
I think it's a bit different with the DVR numbers.
Well, that makes sense, but I'm saying it wouldn't count twice though if you're not on a Nielsen box.
No, it would only count for the once for the DVR, but not for the live. So
if you've got a Nielsen box, just turn it on. If you've got multiple Nielsen boxes, turn them all on to it. Anyway, that is the Expanse. That is episode 6 of season 3. Fantastic episode. So we'll see you next week and see sort of what the fresh beginning of the middle of season 3 is, and we can hopefully maybe have good news. I feel like because there's half a season left to air, I think they're going to hold back any good news that is put in place. I feel like they'll wait until it's either nearly over or after it's finished before they tell us.
Quite possibly. I just maybe as well. All the talk about it. I know Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Like, everyone's streaming it again now, right? Everyone's going and watching it because everyone was talking about it. And if people do the same with this back half of the season of Expanse, if the numbers shoot up, even if they haven't got a deal in place by the end of the season, that's something where they can hand to them and go, look at the numbers.
Here's the thing. Cass Anver, who plays Alex, said that he spoke to someone at SyFy, and apparently they're not necessarily against changing their minds. Here's the thing, though. I don't want that to happen. Because if SyFy change their minds, okay, we'll get another season, but how long is it going to last if they've already cancelled it once?
You don't trust them on it, right?
I don't trust them. I want it to go to a safer home, is my hope. Yeah. But anyway, so yeah, just do what you can. Watch the show, goddammit. Anyway, which you obviously are if you're watching this, because duh. Anyway, that is the Expanse episode 6 of season 3. Let us know what you thought of this one in the comments below. Like and subscribe, all that stuff. Get us on the Twitters at mailed_fuzz for channel updates. If you want to support the channel, head over to patreon.com/mailedfuzztv. But otherwise, that is us. And yes, hashtag save the Expanse, because it's like my hard sci-fi fix right now, and you wouldn't want me to go cold turkey. It's not good for anyone. So.
You had to go a good while without any, and
I know.
You wouldn't want to go back to that. It was not nice. No,
it was a dire decade. That's all I'm saying. It's a dire decade. So that's us. Thank you once again for watching or listening. I always appreciate it. Keep watching TV, guys. Have you got any vanilla?